welcome back to the Lawsalooza podcast, a legal comedy podcast where we discuss some of the most outrageous cases and laws from around the world. I'm Shawna.
I'm Miranda.
And I'm Lindsey, and I'm back this week. Huge shout out to Chris Peterson for filling in for me last week. You were fantastic. If you didn't hear that episode, make sure you go back and listen to it.
We meant to call him Tina last week, but
we forgot. No.
So,
well, shout out to Tina.
Well, we are three North Carolina attorneys who are trying to bring you a unique twist on legal comedy. Nothing in this podcast should be construed as legal advice.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing because you said we're trying to. I'd say
we try every week really hard.
It's at least interesting, if nothing else, I think. So
True. So don't forget to check us out on all those podcast platforms like Amazon Podcasts, Apple, Spotify, Anchor,
YouTube,
and you can watch our beautiful faces on YouTube. It's really good to watch on YouTube actually because the facial expressions crack me up. They're
golden.
They're great. Yeah,
they're golden.
You can also follow us on our social media platforms: Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok, where you can see some of our hilarious outtakes and behind the scenes footage. This week we are covering another spooky topic of bats. I'll cover the drink.
I'll cover the law, which I'm dubbing We Love the Bats Law.
And I have the case, and I didn't make a name for it, so you'll just find out when we get there.
So the drink I am covering this week is called Bat Tears because of the black sugar crystal rim, and
is that really why it's called Bat Tears, or is it just
no,
rim weeping?
Yeah, it's sad. Bat Tears. But this has 7.5 ounces of Coca-Cola or Pepsi if you prefer. What is wrong with your face?
No, that's the new buzz going on my shirt. What's wrong with your face? We've been apart for, gosh, I guess it's not even been 2 weeks. And we're reunited, so buckle up. It's going to be a fun one.
All right, so as I was saying, it has 7.5 ounces of Coca-Cola, 1 ounce of rum, 1 ounce of either raspberry or cherry liqueur, and then a little squeeze of a lime wedge. And then it's rimmed with a lime wedge juice to add the sprinkles.
Okay.
For your sprinkle juice.
Okay.
All right?
So, okay. Open minds.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Open minds.
Cheers.
Cheers.
That is not bad. Honestly, it smells horrible. But
It's kind of like a cherry Coke.
it does taste like a cherry Coke.
With a hint of lime.
It does.
The sprinkles are in my way.
I need a second taste.
You are gonna spit your drink out.
It's not even bad. It's just
The way you said it was so funny.
I keep looking over at you and you're cracking up. Okay.
Because you were just like, I need a second taste.
Very dramatic.
Like a sommelier of Shawna's mixed drinks.
Oh, boy.
It's good. It is very good.
I think it stained all of our mouths black.
Yep. There's your bat tears.
It's good though. It just tastes like a cherry Coke.
Okay.
I missed my mouth. Okay, well, moving right. Is it on my chin?
We're gonna take your drink away.
Oh, but I think let's move on. Oh my gosh.
I am 100% sober. I'm just
Okay.
okay. Moving right along.
Now to the law.
Oh yes,
That would be you.
Moving right along.
She's like, yeah, move along.
So, when I was researching bat laws, there are a lot of states that actually have laws protecting bats, which I hate bats. Okay?
Oh no!
I do, and I know you love them.
They're so cute.
And they are not. No, I don't know. I think I'm like traumatized because I can't remember what movie it was growing up, but there was like a bat that latched onto a horse in one of the movies I saw, and I was a horse kid. Like I grew up riding horses.
I'm scared of horses.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm allergic to horses.
Okay,
But I love them.
They are. I love horses too.
Dude, they just don't.
How do you like llamas and not horses?
Llamas are cute. Horses, I think because when I was in 8th grade, we went on a trip, a school trip, and we rode horses, and my horse went crazy, and it, like, ran through a bunch of trees, and I thought I was going to die.
Okay, that's traumatizing.
And it bit me.
Fair.
My cousin had
yeah,
horses,
fair.
and we would ride them all the time. I loved them.
Yeah, I love horses. So I've been traumatized from, like, on the bat side of things ever since then. And so, but apparently they're beloved, and we protect them.
My sister-in-law had a bat in her house, and they...
As a pet?
No.
Oh.
No. Like, she has a really, really old house built in the 1800s, and bats, they can get into, like, the tiniest hole.
Oh, yeah.
And one got inside, and because they didn't know, because they can bite you when you're sleeping, they all had to go get rabies shots in their tummies.
We're going to talk about that. I have a fun story on that.
I also have a bat story.
Oh, this is going to be a good one.
That's all I got about that.
But yeah, so there's state laws, and they're federally protected as well, because there's endangered species, I guess is the technical term.
The vampire ones? No, just kidding.
Whatever's indigenous to here, I guess.
Is endangered?
I don't know.
Not all of them, I don't think. But anyway, so I was reading a bunch of articles on it, and I came across this WRAL article on it. Now, in general, you're not allowed to hunt bats. They're not considered game animals. But there is a law in North Carolina. What? Why would you hunt bats? It's a law. It says bats are not game animals. I mean, it doesn't say that word for word, but that is. I'll put the link on here. But yes, it is against the law.
I believe it, but it's just funny to think.
Like
it's
you
like
have to
bat hunting season.
It's like squirrels. They're tiny too. I guess you could hunt a.
Yeah, but
hunt a bat.
Can you? I don't think you can eat a bat though, right?
That would probably kill you.
We learned about why you don't eat a bat because that's what led to COVID, allegedly. Remember? Some dude ate a bat in China.
In China, they ate the bat. That's how we got the COVID.
Allegedly.
The COVID.
All right, so don't eat bats. But yeah, so you can't hunt them, you can't eat them, but you also can't remove them from your house. So in the months of May 1st to July 31st, because that's their mating season.
They need to find bedroom outflower.
I agree.
Yeah, so if you got bats in your house, you just gotta deal with it?
Yeah. Okay, so this law has been in place since the 1940s. And in general, my understanding is if you were removing bats from your home, even like outside of this period, you have to have a permit to do so.
That's why you hire someone.
Yeah. Yep. And so, but they won't grant permits during that time period. And this is still at play today. And if you remove bats during that time period, it's a misdemeanor.
That's always a misdemeanor.
Yep. So, at this point, I was disgusted because I hate bats and I have a bad experience with them. So when I was growing up, we used to go on these, like, state mission trips where we would go to, like, Kentucky or West Virginia and like, do building trips. And we were staying in a local school for one of them, and it was a week-long trip. And we were sleeping in the classrooms, and I think it was, like, the last day or two of our trip, there ended up being a bat that landed on one of the girls' heads, and the whole group had to go back to get rabies vaccines or rabies shots. Like, they literally didn't even let us go home. They took the mission trip vans, and we went to the local hospital where everybody had to get shots.
And how many did you have to get in your tummy?
Oh, I didn't have to because, Mom, it did come in handy. So originally I wanted to go to vet school. And so for vet school, you have to have a certain number of volunteer hours. So I had been volunteering at the zoo in their wildlife rehab program. And you have to have a rabies vaccine to participate in that program. So I was already vaccinated, so I didn't have to do anything.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, of course now I'm an attorney, and that didn't come in handy at all. But it did for that one situation. But yes, so
you can get bat houses and set them outside your house to encourage them to have their
encourage
sexy
them.
time in the bat house, not your house.
Ugh, it's just, ugh. No, thank you.
Okay. We went
So,
there.
She went there first.
yeah, so the reason we protect them, moving right along, is because they help control our insect population, like mosquitoes, for
I
example.
do like that about them.
I do too, and
But I think that's a lot.
I can give that to them. I can. And, it does cut back on, like, the Zika virus and malaria, and it also helps prevent insects that are eating our crops and stuff like that. So they have some advantages. I just don't like them. They creep me out, and I prefer not to interact with them. But anyways, so I started looking into it a little bit more because I was like, okay, there's obviously the reasons we want to protect them, but, like, part of my fear of them spurs from the rabies fear. And I actually found out that only 0.5% of bats actually carry rabies.
Then why do they make everyone get the dang shots?
I
guess 'cause it's
not even
deadly.
a full percent. Yeah, it is. I mean, it's a big deal. But
It's because you'll die. I mean,
just
geez.
casual. And, like, I will say, the articles that I was reading said that the bats don't get aggressive like dogs or raccoons or stuff like that. So there's
They
no
don't foam at
real,
the
like,
mouth.
yeah, there's no real indication. So the only thing it said was that they remain docile. So if you see a bat on the ground, even though it's not going to be mean, don't approach it because it probably has rabies. I was like, okay, you don't have to tell me twice. Like, I'm not going to pick it up.
No.
But yeah, so that was interesting. What I found just I don't know. I don't know how to really. I don't know how I'd feel about someone telling me this if I had a bat in my house, but the North Carolina wildlife officials made a comment in this article, and they said not to worry about the bats in your house because they're typically harmless.
Typically.
You are required to leave them alone unless they are actually flying around in your home, like actual living space. So, like in your attic, you have to leave them alone.
One got out of the attic and was flying in her daughter's bedroom, and she lost it.
Nope. Yeah, no thank you. It's a hard note for me. But yeah, so that's, I found it very interesting that I find these creatures so disgusting and horrifying, yet we have so many laws in place to protect them.
So do you not like Batman?
I haven't watched it. There's like,
a
aren't
lot
there
of
a lot of
Batman.
many,
I haven't watched
many
any of them.
of them. Okay.
Because he's a Batman?
No, because I mean, it's not.
He has a cape like you.
He does have a
I do love this cape. You're killing the cape game today.
She's that
thrift
woman.
store find.
You gotta love it.
But I just wanted to know if you liked Batman. Or if
No.
you had a grudge against him because of his name.
Not because of his name, just because I don't like superhero movies.
Oh.
I know, I'm horrible.
Aquaman?
Nope,
Oh.
I haven't watched it.
What's it about that?
I prefer Marvel to DC.
I just prefer Aquaman.
Okay.
Oh wait, I do know who. Is it Jason
Jason
Momoa?
Momoa.
Okay, everyone who is attracted to men loves that movie, and we all know why. So
I kind of like the lime.
I do too. It's growing on me.
Back to the drink, sorry.
Okay. Moving along.
Again.
So, I also have a fun bat story. Maybe I'll start with the bat story. That was traumatizing, but I still like bats despite the trauma. So, when I was like 10, or I guess I was 9, about to be 10.
I'm sorry.
Why are you laughing?
Sitting over there licking the rim. Stick your tongue out.
Yours too.
Sorry.
Okay, anyways, when I was a child, my family lived in Papua New Guinea because my parents were missionaries.
Oh,
And-
wow, I didn't know
Really?
that. No.
I just like that word a lot.
Okay, anyways, so there was obviously a lot of bats there because it's like a tropical country and there's mosquitoes and stuff. So anyways, there's this one little road and there's trees on either side of the road that kind of grew like a canopy over the road.
Oh, I love
And
that
so very like, you know, like picturesque or whatever. And so it was like twilight and I was out with my friends and we were walking down this road and there was like right when it started to become dusk, bats would come out and they'd fly really low, like little bats, like little fruit bats, I guess. and I had really long hair.
Oh no.
Yeah, I'm sure you can see where this is going. And this bat like swooped down and it got stuck in my hair. All I remember is his like wings like flapping against my head, and I'm like screaming and like trying. I didn't want to hit the bat.
Oh, I gotta hit the bat.
Trying, like, does anybody do anything? No, everybody's just laughing at me. And eventually the bat like frees itself and gets away. And I don't think I didn't get a rabies shot, so I guess I'm fine. But
oh my gosh.
Yeah, I had a bat stuck in my hair.
Very scary. I would have liked been going nuts
freaking
trying
out.
to get the dang bat out. It would have looked like I was a bat. Crazy.
Yeah. I have 2 cases today, actually. They're pretty short, but they're both about people who also had encounters with bats like mine, who then decided to sue over it.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, man.
The bat?
No.
Okay, good. At least we're not that crazy.
Well, but as we learned from episode 1, a bat's a wild animal, right? So we would sue it in the church, ecclesiastical court.
Right.
But they didn't do that, which is maybe
Bats
why.
are the devil.
Okay.
Bats are the devil.
Okay. Moving along. Anyway, so the first case is a personal injury case. And so the homeowners, there's these 2 homeowners. There's a couple named Justin and Caitlin Young, and they live in a home, I guess in like a normal suburban neighborhood next to, they're the plaintiffs, defendants Frederick and Jamie Adams. So the Youngs sued their neighbors, the Adams, for a bat attack that happened to the wife, Caitlin Young. And they sued them for $25,000 of medical expenses and $95,000 of pain and suffering.
That's a lot of pain and suffering.
That's a lot of pain and suffering.
Did you have that much pain and suffering with your bat attack?
No, it's mostly just a funny story. So anyways, they sued in personal injury court, and this was actually on TV. So I'll link the YouTube video if you want to watch it.
Like with Judge Judy?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
So anyways, the plaintiffs were doing a home renovation project. They had a detached garage that they decided one day they were going to turn into an in-law suite for the husband's mom to come move in. And it's taking them, I guess, a really, really, really long time to do this reno. And in between doing it, they are like leaving the garage door open, leaving the windows open. I'm sure you can see where this is going. Leaving everything open, basically. They're not shutting anything off. And so the defendants, the Adamses, they are like one of the homestead type people. So they do everything naturally. They plant their own vegetables. They have a chicken coop in their backyard. And so they noticed that they couldn't really enjoy their back porch and backyard area because there were too many mosquitoes. Because backing up to both of the houses in the backyard was a wooded area and then like a river just through that. So there was a ton of mosquitoes because of all the trees and all the water. So they didn't really want to have pest control come in and spray because they're like super natural, wanting to do everything. They probably do like composting and all that kind of stuff. So they were trying to find a natural approach to get rid of the mosquitoes. And so they decided that they should attract bats because, as we learned, bats eat the mosquitoes.
Yep.
And they keep mosquito populations in check. So they got 3 bat houses that Shawna was talking about and put them in various spots in their yard. And before that, they had a bird bath in their front yard, which kind of became an issue in this case because the plaintiffs tried to say the bird bath attracted the bats too, in addition to the bat houses. But anyways, everything was going well. The mosquitoes were in check, whatever. And
so it worked? The bat houses worked?
Yeah, they attracted the bats. The bats ate the mosquitoes, and everything was fine. Or so they thought.
Oh, no.
Dun, dun, dun. So the Youngs had taken a several-week hiatus from their in-law suite renovation. But during this several-week hiatus, as mentioned, they had left their windows open, the garage door open, everything was open.
That's on them.
Problem.
Yeah.
So anyways, one day, Caitlin Young, on the weekend, she said they had a free weekend. She's like, we should work on the in-law suite again. And so part of what they were doing was obviously installing a bathroom in there because they were trying to move mother-in-law in.
Slowly.
Very, very slowly. And so it was very unfinished. And in the shower, she notices what she said looks like black mold. And she didn't think anything of it. She was just like, oh, we haven't checked this out in a couple weeks. Everything's been open. I think it maybe had rained. And so she was like, I'm just going to get some spray and like a little sponge and clean this mold. And so she starts spraying like mold remover on this area and then comes in with a sponge to wipe it. And then the mold starts moving. Which, I mean, if you had just like looked for like it wasn't bat, it was bats, plural. Many, many bats start flying out, which I just feel like, how would you not know? Like, I could get like, okay, one bat, maybe. That's what I was thinking. You're not expecting to see a bat and you think it's mold. That makes sense. But it's like, she describes it as literally hundreds of bats. Her words.
That and I'm just like extreme. Yeah, there's no way.
Unless they were like in a hole.
Well, she says that she's hundreds of bats. Her husband hears her screaming. He thinks she's being murdered. He says he runs in there and fights off the bats and then scoops her up and carries her out, and they go to the ER. And she's treated for a number of scratches and a disease called histoplasmosis.
Yes.
Which she doesn't have rabies, but histoplasmosis, apparently I didn't know what it was. It's an infection caused by a fungus that primarily lives in soil that contains a large amount of bird or bat droppings. Oh. So people get it by breathing in the fungal spores from the air. Most people do not get sick from it, but the people who do exhibit symptoms like fever, cough, and fatigue, most even of those exhibiting symptoms tend to get better on their own without medication, but apparently she didn't. She starts talking about how she's having seizures from the bats, and she has...
That sounds a little extreme.
She says she has extreme PTSD, and she's afraid to go outside, and she said her and her husband used to go hiking, and they used to love home renovation, and she can't do any of that anymore because she's too afraid, blah, blah, blah. So...
How did the bats not start moving when she was spraying them?
That's what... Well, yeah, I don't know.
I have questions.
Also, too, like, I feel like... Bats do not look like mold.
No, I don't.
I can see one bat curled up, maybe
like super tight, like in a crevice or something. Crevice. Yeah,
but hundreds.
Yeah.
Like,
anyways,
come on. So hundreds of bats would cover the entire bathroom, and if you haven't checked it out,
well, that's what she describes. Is like it's covering the whole shower area. But
then you call someone to clean that. You don't do that yourself.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if I went into my bathroom and I saw it like covered in mold, I would be like, this is a problem for another day. And leave.
First off, I don't want to breathe that mold in because that sounds like a problem in and of itself.
Yeah.
So
anyways, they didn't think things through. The Adamses in their rebuttal said that bats do not randomly attack humans. They do only if they're, like, provoked, I guess, which is, I guess, if you're spraying me with a mold cleaner, I'd probably attack you too, but...
Yep.
He says they're wild animals, so he didn't have, like, because part of what they have to prove, as part of this suit is that, the Adamses, the defendants, had the control of the bats. And he's like, these are not our bats. These are not our pets. We did not name them, blah, blah, blah. Like, these are wild animals. They admit to having the bat boxes on their property, but on their property. And the Youngs try to come back and say, and I thought this was funny, they're like, the bats belong to you because you invited them to your property.
So anyone I invite to my property now belongs to me?
Yes.
Good to know.
By this logic.
Yeah, interesting.
And Adams also suggested that the Youngs should have been sealing up the apartment. There's a bat expert that comes in, and he says a bat can fit into a small hole, like even as small as your thumb, and get into your home. And that you can evict them by sealing up the holes and like driving them out. But I guess not during this certain months, so you'll get in trouble. The judge, who is Judge Gino Brogdon, he's the one who does this show. He was a mediator, lawyer, and former county judge in Atlanta, Georgia, prior to starting this show, so he's a real attorney. He says bats can get in anybody's house. And do you want to guess who he ruled in favor of, the plaintiffs or the defendants?
You better have ruled in the defendants.
Why?
Because I don't know why. It just doesn't
they didn't invite the bats.
Okay, yeah, so he does rule in favor of the defendants, luckily, because he said that the plaintiffs invited the bats into their home by leaving everything open, the garage door and the windows.
That's fair.
So, yeah, it was fair. He's like, yeah, the defendants invited the bats onto their property, but you invited them to your home. Like, even if they have a wild animal in their property, you still have a duty to like seal up your house, and you can't get mad like if a wild animal comes into your house.
Makes me think of a vampire. A vampire can't come in unless
you
you're
invite it in. Yeah, exactly.
It's weird that that's the ruling here.
Yep.
Like,
so there was one other case about a bat attack, and this is a bat attack that happened in Home Depot.
Oh.
In Longview, Texas.
Of course, you got to sue the Home Depot. They got lots of
She
money.
sure did. Yes, a woman sued a Longview, Texas Home Depot after she was bitten by a bat in their store while she was shopping. This happened in January 2013, and unfortunately, I couldn't find the result of this lawsuit.
Oh, no.
I know. I'm really sad.
We can make up our own.
We can make it up. It probably did settle. That's probably why. But she was with her friend, and she was picking up a cinder block that was on display. And when she did, she felt something crawl up her arm, and she gasps and says, "It's a rat," and swings to hit her arm. Her friend says, "No, it's not. It's a bat," and then takes a picture of the bat on the girl's arm instead of helping her. She's like, "It's a bat. Let's take a picture." And then she hits the bat, and obviously it bites her. And animal control comes to the Home Depot, and they managed to catch a bat later that day, although they said they couldn't be sure if it was the bat that bit her, because apparently the Home Depot had a bat infestation problem.
Well, they leave their doors open constantly.
Yeah,
no, they invited the bats
in.
So she sued under premises liability law for failing to ensure the safety of the store for its customers. She sought damages for, and I thought this was kind of interesting, medical expenses, pain and suffering, mental anguish, disfigurement, physical impairment, interest, and court costs. But the only allegation she said she didn't even know what had bit her until later when she looked down and saw bite marks on her arm. So it wasn't like a vicious attack by a multitude of bats. It was like a single bat and a single bite. So yeah, she had to go get a rabies shot. But I feel like, is this physical impairment and disfigurement?
No.
Probably not.
But if you don't plead it, you don't get it.
Yeah.
Fair.
But that's
true, but also I feel like it has to be based in like fact.
Oh yeah, that part.
Anyways, so the Home Depot, the article went on to say, is required by law to ensure the property is safe for its employees, customers, and other guests. The owner is responsible when someone is injured on their property if a hazardous condition results in personal injury, because they can be liable under like negligence. So do you think, knowing what we know and not knowing the outcome, do you think that Home Depot would be liable?
I think they probably settled. I don't know that a court would find them liable, just given the nature of the type of store it is and how they have to have like big doors open for like these lumber back and forth, like people buying lumber.
Yeah, I'm sure it's settled. They paid her like $500, and we're like, bye.
Also, I feel like she probably didn't have like extensive dismemberment.
No, I mean they probably paid her medical expenses
for her rabies shot.
Yeah, and maybe a little pain and suffering for the hassle of getting a rabies shot.
Yeah, I just thought the friend's reaction was funny. She's like, "Oh my god, a rat!" And then the girl's like, "Nah, I'm gonna take pictures of this. This is funny."
Yeah, that's a good friend.
Just helping her prove her case.
Yeah, documentation.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was more for
entertainment.
The hilarity.
Did you find a picture of it?
I could not. The picture in the article was just like a random bat, and I was like, "Come on."
That may have been part of the settlement.
Exactly.
Get rid of the picture.
Maybe.
Take
I don't
it off
know.
social media.
They didn't have names, so I couldn't look it up that way. Couldn't be creepy about it. So, anyways.
Good
those
bat
are the
stories.
bats. Yeah, the bat stories.
I do not want to be attacked by a bat, but I don't mind them eating the mosquitoes. I'm game for that. Because the mosquitoes like to nibble on me, and I don't like that.
Yeah.
I just don't like bats.
I think
do you like next week's topic? Monsters.
Yes, I do like monsters.
You like monsters, but you don't like bats.
Yeah, because monsters, I was about to say they're not real, but I guess it could be. And we'll see you next week.
Don't forget to like and follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And check us out on all those podcast platforms.
Bye!
I don't know why
are we drinking this?